We'll stand up waiting for the fanfare. That's not come.
Okay, the time is 6:03 p.m. And I'm calling our meeting to order. It's Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. It's 6 p.m. We're at Old Town Hall. Just a brief disclaimer, on this dais, we're not wearing masks while we're seated, as we're appropriately distanced. We wear our masks when we move around the communal spaces. There are no scheduled hearings, but public input may be provided using the following methods. Email, so the Board of Selectmen email address. You can call 774-872-0920 during the meeting, or via Zoom at the link using the meeting ID and password provided. A recording of the meeting will be accessible on the Town of Dayton YouTube channel for later viewing, and we are being audio and video recorded. And at this time, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to mention since our last meeting the passing of two Dayton residents, Joyce DeBona and Betsy G. Ladner. And in their memory, I ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, first on the agenda this evening is a certificate of appreciation for Mr. Michael Aronstein. I feel that this is appropriate. Selectman Goulart, would you like to read the certificate? I know this was your idea, and I think it's a good idea, so we appreciate it.
So, Mr. Aronstein, if you're watching this or you see it, we will get this certificate to you. I'll just hold it up so everyone can see it. Very pretty. Town of Dayton Certificate of Recognition. The Town of Dayton recognizes Michael R. Aronstein, 16 Center Street, for his volunteer services over the years for mowing the Frank G. Costa Memorial Park on the Taunton River. Mr. Aronstein's service to the town is greatly appreciated. He provided this service at no cost to the town, one veteran honoring a fellow veteran. We extend our sincere thanks and offer our best wishes to him, signed this 24th day of June 2020 by the Town of Dayton Board of Selectmen. We voted to do this on the 24th, so that's why we're using that date tonight. So, Mr. Aronstein, thank you on behalf of the board and the townspeople, and we will get this certificate to you.
Do you mind if we join in a round of applause? Good work and good suggestion, Selectman Goulart.
Thank you.
At this time, we have a community solar presentation by Blue Wave, who is here this evening. And so, I know we're a minute behind. That's actually pretty good for us. So, I'm going to give the floor over. I envisioned having like a 15-minute presentation and maybe 5 minutes for question and answers. So that's what I envisioned, with the expectation that we may have another meeting or a discussion if that's okay with you. Okay, you have the floor.
Would you prefer we keep the masks on, or?
Yeah, you're just.
Okay, great. There's a bug on my lap. What a way to start. My name is Rebecca Noyes. I work with our community solar business development team, and so I work with all of our municipal customers across Massachusetts. And I have with me Jackie. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jen Kirsty. I've met a couple of you in the past. I'm on the project development team, and we've been permitting this project here in town for a number of years, and excited to see it moving forward, and hopefully getting to have the town participate. So,
yeah. Okay, so we'll jump right in. We'll keep it pretty quick. We have a little bit about who Blue Wave is, a little bit about our project development experience, and then we can talk a bit about how the community solar program actually works. And so jumping right in. So Blue Wave, our mission is to revolutionize energy with simple, powerful solar solutions. And so if you're looking at our history over here, we started working in 2010 as an organization to help municipalities reduce their energy spend and save on their energy costs. And so when Massachusetts passed the first community solar enabling legislation in 2013, Blue Wave was actually one of the first organizations to actually construct a community solar farm. And since then we have achieved B Corp certification, so we can actually flip to the next slide. And I think this is one thing that really makes us stand out from other developers, from other solar developers in the space, because the B Corp Declaration of Independence states all businesses should be conducted as if people and place matter. And so what that means for Blue Wave as an organization is we donate a significant amount of time and dollars to local organizations. Before the COVID pandemic happened, we spent hours sorting green peppers at the Greater Boston Food Bank. Jackie and I were actually across from each other for that, and it was just a really great experience to work together as a team and to get out of the office and give back. Can skip right ahead through our awards and accolades. Y'all can look back at that later if you'd like. And we should jump right into a little bit about our product development experience. So I'll turn it over to Jackie.
Yeah, so thanks everyone. Rebecca did a great job introducing the company, and we've been working on development since we started out as a development company. So we added on community solar, which is super exciting, and we've developed over 50 projects in the state, over 135 megawatts, and obviously we've sold a lot of these projects and have many landowner partners, and it's only continuing to grow. We'll have 2 more here once we build a project in Dayton. And we've taken quite a significant amount of CO2 out of the air, and we've avoided it, so over 127,000 metric tons. So we can move on to the next slide here. This holistic development approach is something that's really important to us as a company. We're not just sticking panels in the ground and that's it. For us, it's really also land management that's super important to us. We use sheep actually to mow for some of our projects. We have a project in Mendon right now where there's sheep mowing instead of a mower. And we also really try our best to include pollinator habitat. We're only adding more of that into our projects as we continue. We raise up the fences. You'll see that it's the same in Dayton. We raise the fences up so small animals can pass through. We don't want to take away the habitat of these projects. This is a different use of the land, but it's still land. It's not a house. It's really still part of the community and habitat. So on top of that, something that's really important to us is dual use development. So Dayton is a perfect example of that. We will be doing this project as a dual use project. There will continue to be farming happening on that site. And so this is something that we're doing on a lot of projects as well as we move forward in the state and in other states. So if you look at the next slide, you can see this is just an overview of the actual project in Dayton. It's a 3.9 megawatt DC project, and it's on Jim Cabral's farm on Fremont Street, and it's also on Joanne Mason's land. She's also part of the project. You can see that's the second parcel in the south there. So this is with 2 landowners, and we're really excited to move forward with this project. There will be batteries storage as well, so it's helping the grid. I just really want to emphasize the agricultural use is something that's really we're excited to be doing this project and to keep the farm, a farm. And there'll be Jim Farm squash, so there'll still be a portion of the farm that's squash, but there'll also be an aspect that's livestock grazing. And we also have a good amount of screening on the front portion of on that corner. That's we know that's important to Dayton, that the solar farm is not standing out. There'll be a loom fence, there'll also be trees, so we're really trying to keep it from normal drive-by. But so we can move on. Just want to let you guys know what the status is. Right now we received approval from the planning board on the 17th of June, so almost a month ago now, and we're working to get that, logistics of finishing everything up, but it's been approved, and we'll get approval next week from the Conservation Commission. So the project will be done from a municipal permitting standpoint. We've also received permits from the state, both from the solar incentive program as well as from the Department of Agricultural Resources. They actually, at the state level, approve the farm plan and make sure that this is staying agricultural use for the entire life of the solar array. Now that that's all completed, we're looking forward to starting conversations with the town about the C1A process and about pilot agreement with the town. So that's where we're at.
All right, and then jumping into how the community solar program actually works. So essentially, Blue Wave goes out and we construct a farm with the Dayton project, which is specifically what we're talking about tonight. And there's a meter at that farm that spins backwards, and so it's counting the kWh that's actually being produced by the farm. And then National Grid takes a look at that project and says, okay, you know, here is the value of a kilowatt hour in terms of dollars. And then that dollar value translates and appears directly on your utility bills as like a negative line item that works against your total cost. And so I have reviewed the town's electricity bills, and it looks like most of your bills include both delivery and supply charges. This is just an additional layer on top of that, and so it works against your total balance on your electric bills. On to the next slide. So how does the structure work? So in terms of the farm here in Dighton, our goal is to work with local municipal organizations, such as the town of Dighton, to sort of put every different type of organization on the project. So this is just an example slide, but we could do, you know, the town's National Grid bills, the school district, the water district, the fire district, to make it really truly a Dighton-focused project. And then just a little bit about who our anchor customers are. I mentioned, you know, Blue Wave really got its start in working with municipal customers in our earliest days, and so we actually have over 50 municipalities and public entities that are customers on our community solar projects. So those are cities and towns, regional school districts, public housing authorities, and water districts. We also work with a number of corporations and manufacturers. We have a large hummus producer in Massachusetts that's one of our customers, as well as colleges and universities, and hospitals and healthcare networks. So Blue Cross Blue Shield, for example, of Massachusetts is one of our customers. All right, and just sort of wrap it up here, why community solar? You're supporting the development of local renewable energy here in the Commonwealth, and in the case of Dighton, you'd be supporting a super local project. You'd be enabling access to other organizations in the region that would like to take advantage of the project. So as I spoke about, maybe a fire district or a local school, elementary school. And then finally, you're receiving electric bill credits and reducing the amount that you owe to your local utility. So that's the end of the presentation, and I think we could open it up for questions. There's two other documents in this folder, one of which is just a one-pager, which sort of highlights everything that I just spoke about, really summarizes it. And then we have a savings estimate as well, so if you'd like, you can sort of dive into that in more detail.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Before we get into the questions, I wanted to ask my colleagues, at 6:25, we have another appointment. If this goes over, or if we get closer to 6:25, would you mind staying around? We can
Yeah, of course.
just, you know, handle the other discussion and then come back. Is that okay with everybody? If you want? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Selectmen Goulart?
When do you plan to come to the Board of Health and meet with the Stormwater Committee?
Sorry, with who?
The Board of Health and the Stormwater Committee.
As far as offtake? As far as being
As
customers?
far as permitting.
Oh, permitted.
Okay, so yeah, we can talk about that. We received a permit approval from the planning board, and that was incorporated, so they shared their comments with the Board of Health. That's what we were informed that they.
Stormwater Committee is a separate subcommittee of the Board of Health that deals strictly with stormwater. So for example, we have right now two very large projects, the Bristol County Aggie School expansion, and we have a large solar farm up on Richmond Hill. They both had to come before the Stormwater Committee with the plans, because your plans for stormwater control, mitigation, everything related to that has to be approved by the Stormwater Committee. So you need to get in touch with Mrs. Rosalind Grassi at the Board of Health, so we can set up a meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Where are some of the installations that you have in the state?
Oh yeah, we have projects all over the state. We have quite a few in southeastern Massachusetts. We have projects in Wareham, Mattapoisett. We have projects out in Central Mass, like Grafton. We have projects in, I mean, they're really quite covering the whole state. We have one in Clinton,
Oxford, Chelmsford.
Yeah, Chelmsford's going to be one. Beverly. They're quite all over the whole state. So.
And then the thing in Dartmouth?
No, we do not have projects.
Are any of those that you just listed very similar or close to what you're proposing in Dighton? Or are they all sort of the same?
So from a size perspective or from the dual use?
Dual use.
So we have one project in Grafton that we are starting construction this year on, and that's the first project, the first dual use project that's being built. The state incentive, the state program for dual use only started last year, so there aren't very many projects that are like this yet, and so There are also a couple other developers building projects in Southeastern Mass and Carver, and I think of other places that other developers are building, but there aren't any that are like fully constructed yet. But from a size perspective, yeah, we have quite a few that are this size. We have smaller and larger. Like Oxford is 16 megawatts, so 4 times the size of this project. But we have all others that are 1 megawatt, 2 megawatts, which is half the size or a quarter the size of this project. So we have it kind of spanning 1 megawatt to 60 megawatts. That's like our biggest, our range. But usually it's more like 1 to 10. Most common size would be.
Sure. Do the residents in the town get any benefit from this as far as the reduction of their electric bills?
So it's possible. In this case, our goal is to work specifically with municipal organizations at the get-go. It's possible that we will end up taking the project in a direction where half of the project would be municipal off-takers, and then half we could do residential customers as well. So there is an opportunity there. It really just depends upon how many municipal organizations really want to be customers on the project.
In a nonprofits eligible for this benefit also, if they have a building?
Yes, I
So they're
believe
not
so.
part of the town government, but there's nonprofits in the town.
Yes, so in Massachusetts, some of our projects are like this, where it's all municipal organizations as sort of the pieces of the pie. We do have other projects that they're more of a traditional project where half of the project is a municipal organization or a manufacturer or a university, and then the other half is small customers. That can be a residential customer, they can be a small business, mom and pop shop, or they can be a nonprofit.
Thank you.
I just have, I think, 2 questions. My first question is, you had said you had completed the permitting with the planning board, which I think is obviously a really good thing. Were there any, did they impose any conditions on your permit? Or was it?
I mean, outside of the general solar project conditions, I mean, adding all the visual screening was something that we went to the town for quite a bit to make sure it made the most sense and that we had everything that they needed. I'm trying to think of conditions that are specific that stand out to me. They're different than usual, but nothing that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, but I would be happy to go into more depth. And we haven't received the permit yet with all the conditions on it, so I can't say for sure what they ended up putting in, but we definitely talked back and forth quite a bit with the town. There weren't any huge standout conditions.
And my understanding is, so we're part of the community aggregation program, and so we do, as being part of that program, we do get our electricity a little cheaper. So just in general, I know you can't give me like a specific figure, and I don't want one, but what would you say would be the average percentage in reduction to the overall utility bills for like the municipalities? Like for example, maybe Grafton, since it sounded like it was a similar project. I mean, I know that's kind of like putting you on the spot. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I can answer that.
I don't know, just like a percentage, just a ballpark.
Yeah, usually between 10 and 15% reduction.
Okay.
And so I have already taken a look at your electric bills, and so community solar bill credits, or they're technically referred to as alternative on-bill credits, they can apply to any balance that's on your utility bill itself. And I did see that your municipal aggregation actually passes through the utility, so your supply charges are included with your delivery charges right on your national grid bills, which is excellent because that means you can take advantage of credits to offset both costs. So we have worked with other organizations in the past that receive a separate supply bill from their independent supplier or their municipal aggregation. And we've always recommended that they consolidate those onto their electric bills so that they can take on more bill credits and then therefore increase their savings.
Okay, and I lied, I have 3 questions. So one more. My next question is, in the other municipalities where you have projects up and running, did you enter into pilot agreements with those municipalities?
Yeah, so we pretty much do pilot on every single project, and that's worked really well for us in the past. We always negotiate with the town for whatever makes the most sense, and I couldn't think of there's one project of all of the projects we built that we haven't done a pilot on. So that's generally the path that we take. Obviously, as long as it makes sense with the town.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up.
Sure.
That's okay. Have you reached out to the assessors at all on a pilot yet, or are we your first one?
This was the first conversation where we're starting up with you guys want to put it out
I
there.
just wanted to make sure, and they haven't been meeting regularly anyway because of
It is almost 6:25. Selectman Goulart, do you want to get the last question this round?
Yeah, two questions, I think, too.
Yeah.
Is Grafton the town of Grafton, or is it the Tufts University facility?
The town of Grafton.
The town, or who's on?
Because there are facilities at Tufts. That's why I'm asking.
Well, we
The
have a
ones that are
physical
at Tufts
project.
University, the veterinary medical school, those aren't yours? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, like solar projects on Tufts University?
Yes.
No, that's
So you
not
draft-
ours. We have a project with a private landowner,
Okay.
in the town. It's
Okay.
on land, it's
So,
on the building.
To follow up on what Dr. Z was asking when he was talking about rates, how long ago did you review the town's electric bills?
3 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we're in aggregation, so the residents pay a little over 10 cents per kilowatt hour. However, municipal buildings has an additional discount because we also belong to the MMA Constellation Energy Program. So I wanted to make sure the rates you were looking at were, let's say, the lowest.
Mhm.
So when we get a bill, let's say we get a bill for $4,000,
Mhm.
the solar benefit, let's say it's $1,000, automatically reduces that to a $3,000 payment to
Yes.
National Grid.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then the town would pay Blue Wave for, in this case, 85% of the value of the bill credits. So it is a 15% discount on the bill credits themselves, which roughly translates to a 10 to 15% discount on your overall bill costs. And we typically tend to size folks at about 85% of their annual spend on electricity, and that's so that the town still has wiggle room to do efficiency upgrades or HVAC replacements, different other efficiency upgrades that would maybe reduce your load and therefore reduce your spend. And we would never put you in a position where you're receiving too many credits to take advantage of it. So 85 is sort of our recommendation. But say, for example, the town has already kind of maxed out on efficiency upgrades, then maybe we go up to 90%. Or if you have a plan to do some other type of efficiency work, maybe in the next 2 years, maybe we'd flux down to 80%. So it really just is at your discretion.
Okay. And just to introduce a couple of members. Stormwater Committee, the gentleman just came in, James Aguilar. He's Building Commissioner, Zoning Enforcement. He's on that committee. I'm chair of that committee, and Tom Ferry, who's the Highway Superintendent, is also on it. And you're going to be meeting with Concom, William Burnett, Chairman, also sits on the committee, along with Tom Pies, Chairman of the Board of Health, and Todd Pilling, who is the health agent. So when you get in touch with Ross to get something set up, okay, just since these gentlemen are here, they are all part of the committee that you'll be meeting with. And each one has expertise in a certain area. For example, the solar farm on the hill that I talked about, Mr. Ferry takes a good look at roads and access, as does Concom. Obviously, building and things like that fall to Mr. Agia. But whatever you need for information, we've got somebody to answer your questions. Okay?
Thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to move to our appointment with Highway Superintendent Tom Ferry, and then we'll come back to you if that's okay. You don't mind sticking around?
Yeah, should we, or should we
Just
just,
pop over.
should we leave
Correct.
it? Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure everybody knows that.
Musical chairs. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
Oh, and you did include, and I apologize, you did include like a savings estimate.
Yes.
So thank you.
Of course. And happy to share the detailed account by account information as well as to how we sized it. We have all of that in an Excel spreadsheet.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Ferry. Good evening. So we are going to discuss so let's start with the additional administration hours for the highway department. And so we received this letter dated June 15th, and it was during when we were going out and asking everyone about the discretionary spending considerations, and you wrote, please consider increasing the hours of Heather Nakora, who is the administrative assistant, from 10 hours to 15 hours a week. This is needed in order to be effective in this office of the highway department. We also discussed a possible job description change back in early March, and then the pandemic stopped all discussions about this position with the spending freeze and the business that came with it. Heather remains an asset to our department, but obviously 10 hours a week is not enough. So that was what we received. Did you want you have the floor. Did you want to add anything else?
In a nutshell, that's what it is. Forgive me, we're using that platform to spur that conversation, but it's very easy to forget about someone that doesn't work that much in the town. And we didn't want that overlooked, so that's why I took advantage of that, at least to get the discussion there.
Sure.
And everyone's on board. It kind of got lost February to March, and unfortunately.
Well, you answered my question. Do you have any questions about this?
No?
Selectman Pacheco?
Is this, if you go to 15 hours, is that budgeted? Or
That was my question.
that money, has it already been budgeted if you go from 10 to 15 hours?
No, that's one of the dilemmas. I believe my budget in the whole, especially my overtime line, because we never know how many storms we have during the summer, can cover that, and we can reconsider in the fall meeting to fund it properly. But we still have some work to do before we get to that point. We need to consider all good tasks and maybe reevaluate her rate, also make sure she's being paid accordingly for someone else in town that's doing similar type work. It's possible that we need to adjust that. So before we have that step, I think we have a little bit of homework to do behind the scenes, but from what I understand, Mallory suggested I plead my case with you guys, that's why I'm here. And see if we can move forward and at least get some homework done and move in that direction.
So my concern is if the town residents don't vote to increase your budget, you're kind of in a dilemma, or your department's in a dilemma.
Can I tell you what my concern is? My concern isn't even that. My concern is we were in a situation after the annual town meeting several years ago where the planning board wanted to increase hours for the planning board office manager. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen at the annual town meeting, so we pushed it off to the special town meeting, and the finance committee did not like that very much, and basically told us that they don't want that to ever happen again. Does everyone remember that discussion? You weren't here for that?
I wasn't in the town yet.
Okay.
I recall.
Okay, so we remember that. Do you remember that? Yeah. So my concern is just we would not have. It's just a logistical concern. I agree that she's needed that many hours because I believe you when you say that. My concern is just we might not have the support of the people who we need the support of for this to happen at the special. I think it would absolutely happen at an annual, but I understand your position. You're saying that you don't want to wait that long and can't wait that long. So we're in a bit of a pickle, team.
Well, in effect, we do increase budgets after the annual town meeting because we don't have all of our contracts negotiated. So we go to these fall town meeting to get funding, and it comes out of raise and appropriate, not out of free cash. That's what the caveat is for budget expenditures. So in effect, we do go to the special to get money when we don't have contracts settled. It's the only way you can fund them. In this particular case, right around, I'm going to say middle of April, beginning of May, all of that training that I've been taking, all of those acronyms, the IDDP and the this or and the that or and the stormwater prevention and the illicit discharge and on and on and on it goes. One of the things that we've got Mr. Ferry's assistant working on is she developed a form. We've actually got to inventory and track every catch basin, which is not hard to do because at least we have maps of that, but we've got to look at every development in town to identify whether they're retention, detention, or infiltration basins. We have a whole set of information that the Stormwater Committee has contributed to. If it's in an HMO, who's maintaining it? If they don't maintain it, it falls to the town. But this whole stormwater thing, she is working with Mrs. Easterday and Mr. Ray, because they've got to pull this all together. And I was supposed to have this done by June 30th. Needless to say, we got the form done, and now it's a matter of bringing this all together, because it's part of our MS4 is laid out in 10 years, and each year we're supposed to do something in a certain area. And this is one of the things that was talked about in the training I took with Fuss and O'Neill. So we got the form done. We have the basins mapped, the ones that the catch basins obviously in the street because we clean them. But this these other locations, I always said unidentified, these other locations that are out there in developments, is a whole other ballgame. The work's gotta be done. It's gonna fall for the most part to the highway department. After the records are culled through, and I know that they're working on it, so this was not something that was anticipated at budget time, I can tell you that.
Do you have anything else, Selectman Christian?
I'm not supporting it.
Yeah, I don't think the finance committee is going to support this. I think they were very clear about, we do adjust budgets because of contracts, but this isn't that situation. I think they're well aware that this isn't that situation. This is the same situation where the administrative assistant needs more hours and it wasn't budgeted for the annual town meeting, and they explicitly said that they didn't want to see that going forward. And I don't think we can get it passed, honestly, without their support. And I agree it's needed. I'm not disagreeing at all with that. Sure.
I just want to add, are you stopping discussion on it? Because if you
No.
are, I just have a comment.
No, it wasn't.
So when there was a person who left town, she got a new, or she just quit, I think. But anyway, she was helping the highway department for a few hours a week, and it wasn't enough then. But that has stopped. When I came on board in Dayton, I had heard about that. Superintendent Ferry was interested in having hours, and I pushed him off for about 2 years, and I said, well, let's switch our procurement processes, let's do some other things and see what he can do with that sort of administrative work being alleviated from him. And then he finally got Heather, because there was still more, there is a need. I just want this case to be made, I guess, that there is a need, and it has always existed, and we have done everything we can. And I have no problem filling the finance committee this as well if it comes to that. But there has always been this need. We've always done everything we can to prevent having to hire and bring on a new person. And then Tom had indicated before the pandemic happened, unfortunately timing is everything, right? Before the pandemic happened, that there was a need to change the number of hours, to increase it because there was, to Selectman Goulart's point, there was more work being done, different work being done, and I had indicated to him that he should change the job description and expressly state what exactly it is that is changing to make that case. Because I also heard the finance committee loud and clear that when somebody is asking for more hours, there needs to be some sort of justification and written documentation for it. So we are prepared to make that fight, I guess, or I don't want to call it a fight, but make that argument for the finance committee and still take their comments, their previous comments. I was not privy to everything that happened with that instance that you referred to, but they've been consistent in saying that. So we are preparing that. Right, I asked you to prepare that job description. So that's in the works. I just wanted you to know what I knew before moving on. I can also tell you that the person who was supposed to be working with Mr. Ferry before did nothing relative to stormwater. Nothing, not even the MS4. And with the additional, like I say, you give me the letters of the alphabet, and I've probably got an acronym that deals with stormwater. As I said, it was supposed to be done by June the 30th. We got the form done, got that fine-tuned with the assistants. The data has to be gathered. And the problem is, we hope we don't get audited, ever, by the feds. But the problem is, there is no excuse. Dayton got fined before because the excuse was we don't have the time, the staff, and the money to do it. It cost them $3,000. That was back in 2006 going into 2007. That was because they hadn't kept up with what they said they were going to do with their original NPDES permit and the MS4. Well, we reversed that whole thing, and we haven't gotten fined, and we're working towards compliance in every area. But this work has to be done. And like I say, we're using time from Mrs. Easterday and from Mr. Gray. They're doing the best they can. But when they get it all put together, it's got to be verified. It has to be on file that this really is, if there's supposed to be a catch basin here or a
infiltration basin there, who's maintaining it? And this is all part of what we have to do for this plan. So I just mentioned that. I agree. I think it needs to, excuse me, I agree, it needs to be considered, and we need to make a case before the Finance Committee. There have been other instances when the Finance Committee has either had no recommendation or recommended against it. But the townspeople, if you make the case and explain to them, and rest assured, by the next town meeting, we will have plenty of, I'll say, evidence, requirements, you know, the stacks of paper that we've got to put together. So I think it's worth going forward with.
I mean, I'm willing to put it forward to people, and put it forward to the Finance Committee. But to your question that you had asked before, what happens if it's not voted on? What happens if this person works the 15 hours and then they're...
Well, that's if you implement it right away, right? That
But
if you
that's what
said,
he's asking for.
right, but, I mean, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, but I
obviously.
mean, but if it, I'm not here contesting that it's not needed. Because I know that you had spoke back probably when I was first elected, or shortly after, and you had said you needed more office help shortly after that individual had departed from the town. So I'm not contesting any of that. My concerns are just logistical concerns, so.
And the other thing is, because of the pandemic, we don't know what our revenue's going to be. We'll have a better idea in October, at a special town meeting, but we don't know what it's going to be right now, so I'll be a little cautious on this. So I still can't, but I definitely agree with you, Mr. Ferry, that there is a need. I just don't think we should stick our neck out right now if the residents decide not to support it. That would be a problem.
Entertaining motions.
Are you asking that she go to 15 hours now, or are you looking for 15 hours if we can get the funding approved?
I was looking for now. Maybe another route would be this board considers taking under advisement, allow me to approach the Finance Committee, but if you guys are dead against it tonight, then that would be relevant.
No, I'm gonna support it going to the Finance Committee.
Have we got any money in the stormwater budget for clerical assistance? I don't have the budget. number.
Part of her pay does come out of somewhere, yes.
Right.
We worked it out to 10 hours, both budgets for the year.
But there's some overtime in the stormwater one, that could be transferred.
But that was my other question, if there was anything existing just to get things up and running.
My other thought is if, I hate to do this to you, Tom, but if we have to crash that project to be in compliance, then she would have to work the hours. And when the money's gone, she gets laid off until we get funding.
Right.
Which hurts you, but
Yeah.
I don't want to put the town in a difficult position. Right now, they're working on that, and they're gathering data. When that data is gathered and it comes into your office, that's when the time is going to have to be put in, because they're doing research to get it to your office. And after it's verified, that's when it's going to hit the plan that we have to insert that into, where we have to have the documentation. Now, I think this one, the training for this one came up this year. I'm thinking, I should explain, the year ended June 30th. That's our reporting year for the MS4. It used to be March, all right? Now we have until September 30th to file the MS4 for 2020. We can't not do it. So if we can't find money to at least have her work extra time when that data comes into your office so we can get it to the point that we can be using it as far as reporting.
But this isn't, I'm
So-
sorry, I just interrupted.
I'm thinking options, that's all.
But this isn't all related to stormwater, because we have the complete streets
I was just
grant
gonna say.
that is up and running, and we have to get that done, plus regular highway department work, plus, I'm optimistic, but I believe that we're gonna get that Break Street culvert, that's some more stuff. So it's not
It's not all,
totally a dedication to stormwater.
it's not all stormwater. Quite frankly, I'm being selfish. Simply because I was not aware until I got into that training and listened to all of this stuff that you gotta have it done by June 30th, because I told the stormwater committee that's not gonna happen. We developed a form, the committee approved it after some changes were made, everyone had input. And as I say, we have people doing research right now, but they have other jobs too, so they're working it in. So the crunch I'm looking at is, we didn't make it to June 30th, but how fast how close to that can we get it? That's all.
So actually, as long as we don't, I agree, so increase the hours and stay within, that means don't hit the 19 hours, we should be fine. And then we entertain, come closer to October, a good number, perform the evaluation, and get an actual number for the budget moving forward. We should be all right. Because we're talking, 5 hours a week. It wouldn't be overtime for her either.
Do we know how much that is? Like, can't we?
Well, I'm gonna estimate, because I don't know exactly the pay rate, but I know a roundabout, I don't know the exact change with it.
Anyway, I'm gonna support this for the finance committee. I wanna hear what they have to say before we make like a board of selectmen
Oh, yeah,
recommendation.
right, we would do that later.
But I think we can cut this discussion short. I'm gonna support it going to the finance committee,
Okay.
and just, we'll get more data, and I wanna hear what
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we place an article on the next special town meeting warrant relative to additional funding for the administrative assistant in the highway department.
I'm gonna step down and second that, just under discussion. My one suggestion, I guess, for this article would be, we might wanna think about putting the money in there for if she's going to start soon. Like the money, so that if it's approved, there's money in the budget to pay her. I know she'll be getting paid, but like, don't we have to replenish that part of the budget wherever it's coming from?
If you overexpend in a personnel line. But my theory is that, like, what I'm saying is that there's enough cushion in that you won't have a problem. There's enough cushion in the overtime lines for, that we generally put together for storms and things like that, that
But
will take care of it. And it's about $4,000, it's under $4,000.
My main concern with that though is if we've had a couple mild winters, if we take money from there and then we have a really bad winter, now we've sold ourselves short. So I don't want to do that either. I want to make sure that money that Highway Superintendent Ferry requested is there for a storm.
The total obligation would be less than $4,000
Okay.
for the year.
That's what I wanted.
So-
Oh, for the whole year, not just
It's
from
only
now
5
until the
hours.
October
I did
meeting?
48 weeks. Because
Okay.
when this got sorted out, 48 weeks plus 5 hours would be an additional $4,000, it's under $4,000
Okay.
for going forward. So I don't think any of our budgets are gonna.
The other thing we can consider as we get closer to a town meeting and discussion is, just like we did for the Board of Health, they wanted additional hours for their administrative assistant, and then it was going to go away. And then we, getting ready for this year, because of the virus, we had to approve additional, and we didn't take it away, we let it continue, so we had to fund it.
Yes.
So it's not like it's cast in stone.
I think, I'm
I think we have
gonna, do
flexibility.
you mind if I differ with you on this? I actually feel like, since this has been talked about from the highway superintendent, I think that I expect that this is permanent, and I think 15 hours is more than reasonable.
As I say, I'm just throwing out
No,
options.
I know, I'm saying, I don't think we need to make it, I think this is a different situation. I'm okay with 15 hours going forward. Any further discussion, sir? Okay. No? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Abstentions? The ayes have it, that motion passes.
So that was on a warrant article, but are you voting on the 15 hours to begin now, or just to bring it towards the finance?
I mean, I definitely want it to go to the finance committee. I will vote for it now because I feel like between things like complete streets, just the everyday administrative work that I'm sure there is, and now this, I think that's more than a reasonable justification. So I'm going to support it for starting that, yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we grant an increase of 5 hours per week to the administrative assistant in the highway department as requested.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion?
last night, said before, I'm not supporting this. You know, we frozen all discretionary spending, we're very cautious with the spending of the town, and I just think, because of the pandemic, we don't have any idea what we're gonna do with revenue for the town. I think it's unfair to do this at this time. I'm not supporting.
Continue perspective. Do you have anything to let me
No.
know? Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstentions? The ayes have it, that motion passes. Appoint new highway laborer. We received some other correspondence. Recommendation for a full-time vacancy. There is a vacancy for a laborer. After reviewing applications on hand and interviewing with our town administrator, I'd like to recommend David Curtis from Taunton, Massachusetts. David has all the required licenses and plenty of experience in related fields. Did you want to add anything, Superintendent Perry?
Yes, it's not the first time that David applied. He applied earlier in February. We considered interviewing then. David spent most of his career with Columbia Gas, which is also a related type of field on the construction and the actual street work that we do. Dave, also, we're talking along with Mr. Spiegel's comments that David was made well aware of the possible budget problem in 2020. I made sure he was well aware of that. As far as this round, last February, we didn't have much to pick from. So that vacancy, not this time here, we had a total of 12, 6 of which had all the licenses needed. The interviews were interesting. And,
Varied. They were just
We'll leave it at
varied.
that.
only three applicants responded to the ad. The rest were message boards around town. They didn't it wasn't Facebook, it wasn't newspaper, it was the message boards that did. It's something to consider. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
My only question is, this appointment, you need it to be effective immediately, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was my only question.
I'm impressed with the resume.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good candidate.
Selectman Goulart?
Yeah, looks good. With the number of gas leaks we have in the north end, I'm glad to see.
We have someone on the job now. Just kidding. If there's no if there's no further questions for Superintendent Perry, I will entertain motions.
I'll make a motion that we appoint David Curtis to be highway department. Effective, is it going to be Monday?
I'd like him to start with Monday.
Is that
He's
possible?
prepared to do the driving alcohol, physical, Thursday, Friday this week, get that out of the way.
He has some steps, so I would just say
Effective
immediately, and then
Knowing
that will give them, the path to go with treasure collector pathway and DOT screening.
I'll second the motion.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Anything else, sir?
I have several, yes. You skipped the Main Street upstate. And I have two public announcements.
Sure. Yes, sir. You have the floor.
So, Main Street, as you may or may not remember, we were funding in cooperation with our Water District. Our Main Street, I believe most of that street, the pavement is 40 years old, which is kind of remarkable and makes the street look pretty good for the age of it. And we also are well aware of the number of water breaks that happen with that main, and the main needs to be replaced. I believe the Denver Water District is all on board about that discussion. The survey work is complete. They're finishing up the drawings today and this evening, actually. There's quite a bit of detail that was required. The bill will be ready for tomorrow. Don't get on the bill. We're paying the bill for the survey work. And you have the luxury of this pistol, I guess, but it should hit.
It's a special article, right?
Yes.
Yep.
It should be hitting 20. So we should have that for your warrant next week.
That's fabulous. Good work.
So
So you had to coordinate with the water district on that?
I reached out to the superintendent yesterday to see where they are with the water main replacement. They actually haven't done anything yet, concrete, except for the master plan, which reflects that as a priority. The master plan is not complete yet either. I believe the next step is wish to meet with our town administrator and some possible grants that we are aware of and help them in that direction.
That's awesome.
We need to move forward. The town, my office is fielding a lot of questions, possibly not doing anything in that street.
Yeah.
So,
But I think there were residents that didn't understand that the reason why the road could not be paved or finished or repaved is because it would have been pointless because of the constant water main breaks. It would have just made the new road into what it looks like now. And I think that, I thank you for your patience on waiting. I know you probably got a lot of questions about it. So thank you for coordinating with the water district and getting that
so that street is
accomplished.
not going to be out of your process for a while. It's going to be a while to get one main in the ground. The upper end is very rough. We may have to spend some money and put a tree pole on it, make it passable, and so we can plow and keep it clean. I will entertain that after my current Chapter 90 projects, because I believe that's one of those that we will touch it. And looking ahead, that street will have to be ground, and we have to consider a sidewalk right to the end. So our cost just for the street reconstruction and the sidewalk is probably going to cover around $350, $400. Easily.
Is that
exceeds my 1 year allowance for the Chapter 90, so the town may have to kick in, and unfortunately we're looking at 2022.
that's not even 2021 right now anyway, looking.
So that's what we have.
I think thank you. I just can't thank you enough for that. I really can't. I'm so excited about it. Really, I appreciate it. I know you have 2 other things.
I have 2 other things. They've got a couple input, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
One I'd like to talk to you about the second coming, but I'll talk about the property trunk first.
Okay, sure.
So, as you see out front, we have a sign about property trunk. It's happening this Saturday. The Lions Club is sponsoring it. There's some local people involved. It's to help gather some well-needed food. 2 of our closets that we commandeered are empty now. That's how low we are. Everything was relocated. Checked the dates today. The main closet is replenished, but we have some uncertain times the rest of this fiscal year. Everyone knows that. So we want to be prepared. So we have some items that are needed if people want to consider it. The times for this week is going to be a contactless event also, by the way. It's just a drive-through, you park the trunk, you pick the items out, and off you go. So it's this Saturday, 9 to 11, right here in Town Hall. I was asked to say we don't need corn.
You don't need what?
Corn.
Canned corn. We do need cereal, mac and cheese, canned fruit, tuna, pasta, canned chicken, canned meat, pasta sauces, rice, peanut butter and jelly, and no corn. I said no corn. I want to make sure I said no corn.
Make sure we get that in a minute.
No corn.
Didn't the school,
If one corn shows up, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yep.
didn't the school have like a fundraiser where they had to bring in items and they get so many points for what they brought in, but if they brought corn in, you know,
They made a point, and we still had too much corn. So, it's going to be a fun event. I really don't know what inflatable person is, but we're going to see what they
They're
look like.
cool though. They're
We're
going to
see
be
what
cool.
they look like Saturday.
Yeah.
At least swing by, keep social distance, at least swing by, bring your camera, have some fun.
That pop the trunk thing sounds like hazardous waste.
Especially if it's corn. Okay, second comment. So as you know, we're working in North Dayton. The week of July 20th, the Miller is going to show up. Devastate those streets I'm working on. Chase Street, Summer Street, a section of Summer Street, Prospect Street, and Bailey Street. Structures get reconstruction, weather permitting, and paving will be the last week, was the last week of July. Hopefully everything's done by July 31st. That's the second time when the date is done. But it's gonna be devastation when it shows up. Early morning starts, obviously not before 7, but, you know, it's a very tight-knit community. People might be calling your offices, what's going on. We're gonna try to be neat and quick and as quiet as we possibly can. It's just a lot of work that has to happen.
They'll be happy with the finished product. You know how it is with the construction, but then everyone's usually understands, you know.
Would you just mention the streets again, please?
Chase Street, Prospect, Bailey's, and that section of Summer on the other side of that big island. Those are the worst ones in North End right now. I mean,
Yeah.
you do more than spill your coffee.
What about Bedford?
That has new pavement. Actually, I think we still have
Oh
more.
yeah, I saw that. I was wondering when that happened.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did
that was
Bedford
nice.
already?
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay.
So your milling goes free starting, starting July 20th?
Starting the week of July 20th, the middle will be there, yes.
This is pretty.
Drainage upgrades in that area hopefully be wrapped up next week, including installing fire hydrant kind of station too. So we're quite busy. We're very busy, so don't ask us to pick up your can.
We won't.
You better not see your administrative assistant out there with a desk and a hard hat on the side of the road.
Those were the 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. And good work.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. I do have one request. I'm going to go back to Blue Wave Solar, but if I could ask if we could move up the new business 9E afterwards, that would be nice.
It's also here for the Easter, here for the pandemic.
Okay, well, yeah, and then we'll do the announcements and then they'll get it to you and then we'll get to you. Right?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yep, I just
Okay.
wanted you to know he's going to
Yeah.
be weighing in on
No, perfect.
something that doesn't look like this is.
Okay, so it is 7 p.m. I want to, if it's okay, ladies, can we do another 15 minutes? Is that okay? I don't know if my colleagues have any more questions, so.
I have no more questions.
You didn't? Do you have anything else? Okay.
I have one.
Sure, Madam
First,
Administrator.
I am just looking for you whenever to send a sample pilot agreement
I was.
over to me. And I will discuss with the assessor, kind of brief her with what's going on so we can get that discussion going. And then, of course, stormwater, you'll handle it. Yes.
Can I piggyback off that? Not just a sample, like a boiler, like a template, but also like maybe one that you've gotten, that you've entered into with the town.
Absolutely,
That would be helpful as well.
A pilot
Yeah.
agreement on agricultural land would be perfect.
Like the one in Grafton. Is that agricultural?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Because the fact that the people in Dayton that you're talking about will be the landowners, there's tax implication there because it will be agricultural and it is their property. It's not like it's one person owns the land and someone else owns the array. So the pilot agreement that would fall within the category of what you're doing is unique in Dayton. So that's why we need to see what would be involved. And I will tell you, once you get in touch with Mrs. Grassi at the Board of Health, the process through the Stormwater Committee, we actually have a checklist, thanks to Mr. Aguirre, and everyone who needs to be involved is listed, and they sign off, and when it's all done, Mr. Aguirre is the person that actually does the final permitting, okay? But there will be, once you make that contact with Mrs. Grassi and the Board of Health, every board committee or whoever who might be involved will be on the list, and you'll know whether or not you will have to meet with them or you already met with them, and they will be signing off. Okay.
We could also share a list of other municipalities that, sort of a recommendation list. We could also share like an example bill, which would show how the credits would actually appear
Sure.
directly on the
That's
town.
yeah.
Yes.
All the documents.
Yeah.
All the documents.
So my proposition is, since I don't think we have any more, I don't have any more questions.
No.
We could wait to receive those documents, and then maybe we could put this back on an agenda once we've all had time to really go through them, and then we can discuss how we want to proceed. Does that work for you?
Can I just have some clarifying
Sure,
question?
yeah.
So I know like the off-take question is obviously a little bit separate from the pilot, so I just want to make sure that we are clear there. So for the off-take, you guys would like to see the example bill, is that what, example bill?
And we'll share the legal subscription agreement as well, which we didn't bring with us tonight, but. Sure.
So you guys will share that with you, and then for the pilot point of view, shows that it did you, or it's
Everything
recorded.
goes to me, I'll make sure they have it.
Perfect.
Perfect. And on your end, you need to obviously contact Stormwater Committee and also the Board of Assessors as well. They set them apart.
Yeah, I'll try to meet up with her tomorrow so that I'm not delaying you at all, but just to fill her in, so she's expecting it.
Sounds like fun.
Are the pilot agreements 20 years or less that you have?
Usually the 20, yeah.
They are 20, okay.
And the off-take agreement is 20 years as well.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, no, I don't know why. I was not monitoring. Okay. If we have no further discussion. You're good? Okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we will, we have some information we need to get, and then we'll be in touch. So for another meeting, we can further discuss. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
It was nice to meet you in person.
You as well.
Nice to have a meeting in person.
I know. See real people.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brady, did we receive any calls, emails, or anything on Zoom?
Nobody has joined us.
Nobody's joined us. What?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, we must be doing something right. Okay, on to scheduled announcements. Selectman Pacheco, do you want to read those?
Sure. The town of Dayton Food Bank distribution will be held on July 18th, 2020 at 8 a.m. located in the town hall below level as a 5-foot. And we have a list of boards and committee vacancies. The ADA Commission is seeking 2 members, the bylaw review committee is seeking 2 members, as well as the cable television committee is seeking 2 members. Cemetery Commission is seeking 1 member, Community Preservation Commission is seeking 2 at-large members, Conservation Commission is seeking an ad hoc member, Development and Industrial Committee, as well as the Dayton Trails Committee is seeking a member, the Finance Committee is seeking 3 members, the Historical Commission is seeking 1 member, the Industrial Development Financing Authority and Land Use Committee is seeking a member, as well as the Open Space Committee, the Superintendent of Pest Control is seeking a member, and the Taxation Aid Committee is seeking a member. TIF Review Board is seeking 2 members, and the ZBA Zoning Board of Appeals is seeking 1 member.
If it's okay, we'll do the town administrator report. After item A, could we go to 9E?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we take agenda item 9E out of order.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. And this is to review and act on the request for an FY 21 call wage increase. 1 second. When we take things out of order, I have to scroll,
It's
so I
like
apologize, everyone.
Page 36, I think, or somewhere around there.
Thank you. Okay, so we did receive a letter from Chief McGee. Thank you for being here, Chief. We appreciate it. And it says, Dear Board, I'm writing this letter requesting your support in a 2% increase in call wages. This increase is only for wages and does not include any increases in stipends. This 2% increase is included in my fiscal year 21 budget numbers. If there are any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact me at any time. Did you have anything to add to that? Or did you want to add anything?
No, I think it just was a miscommunication between myself and maybe town administrator, or I'm not sure, whatever. It's just to make sure that you guys are setting the wage scale, that's all, not anybody else.
So the money, my understanding is money's there,
Yep.
but for whatever reason, we just didn't explicitly vote on this thing.
Correct.
Okay, but we did approve this, and I'm pretty sure we recommended it as well. So I want to open this up to my colleagues if you have any questions, comments.
Chief, what's the current rate and what's the rate you're proposing?
I don't have that with me because it's a scale. So
I think it was in an email. Yeah,
I have
we probably don't have it in our document.
I don't know, there's 4 different steps in the scale that I got approved from your board in FY20. So I don't know off the top of my head what all.
What are the steps? In other words,
1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to
based on years of
Yes.
service?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Correct. And it would just increase each step 2%.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Selectman, did you
I
like?
just wanted to make a comment, I support
Yeah.
the increase.
Mhm.
The town rate voted for it, we had recommended as well as the finance committee, but it had to come back before us, as you know, so, but I'm in favor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we grant the chief's request that we increase the call wages by 2% for FY21.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion in a second. Under discussion, Chief, I wanted to say, I think you've done a really good job boosting the call ranks and retaining the folks in the call ranks. So I'm happy to support this, and I want to thank you for that. You said when you became chief that was one of your goals, and I think you stuck to that, and it's appreciated.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Thank you for being patient. Madam Administrator, the floor is yours.
Sure. So what you have in your packets is just an update on occupancy. As everybody I'm sure is watching the news constantly, so whenever the state comes down with their updated guidance lately, luckily, because things are trending downwards, the occupancy changes. So I wanted to put this out there because I wanted other boards and committees to know that they can meet in person with certain, masks, social distancing, and size limitations. We are offering the Zoom, just in case people are wondering why we're doing this hybrid thing, because we, in certain ways, are limiting the amount of public that can attend the meeting. So this is for the public's benefit, that you don't have to come here physically to watch in real time and participate. And we're not able yet to stream live from this, so it's a courtesy from this meeting space. So it's just a courtesy just to be out there a little bit more. So I wanted to give you that. And I apologize for how this agenda is set up. These should actually be like indented underneath. My update on the reopening task force is related to, we as a group recommend reopening town hall to the public more than just by appointment, but all the time, starting July 13th, which is next week. We also want to still promote electronic means of communication. If something can be done through an email, if something can be done through online permitting, if something can be done through a phone call, we still want to promote that. But if somebody needs to stop by and check on something with their tax bill, we're ready and set to go forward if the board agrees.
Can I ask you a question about the occupancy?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. My question is, I thought, and I could very well be wrong, it happens all the time, but I thought we had voted and that we could allow boards and committees and commissions to meet in the old town hall in this room.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were opening that up. Like, I didn't think someone could have a meeting at town hall. Is that what you're saying can happen on the 13th?
Well, maybe if they can fit three people or 4 people and have their meeting. I'm saying open services to the public.
Okay.
They're two
Well, you had made
different-
a comment when you started about committees didn't know that they could have meetings in buildings anymore. And my question
Oh,
is,
yes.
are we still only doing Old Town Hall because it's big enough, or can
Old
anyone have a
Town Hall
meeting?
and the lower level meeting room, we're branching out. But if you're a committee of 5, you
Yeah.
can't meet in the lower level meeting room, you can only meet here.
But can I ask you, or maybe this is for you, Mr. Commissioner, if the board is so first of all, we can't even meet in the selectmen's meeting room because we wouldn't even be allowed. Yeah. But if there's, I don't know, a committee of 3 that can meet there that doesn't have an administrative assistant who takes notes, is that even allowed? Because the public still can't come. Because now you're at the
Yes, it's allowed,
limit.
as long as you do something like what we're doing.
But do people know that?
No, it's why I'm trying to tell
Okay.
people that this is why we're going through this silliness of putting a Zoom link on, even though nobody's coming in. We're trying to provide the access in real time. The only access in real time requirement is if you don't have a physical quorum present.
Okay.
So even in our case, say something alert needed to be at home for whatever reason, we would still have a physical quorum present, and that need to provide real access in real time goes away.
Okay.
Because you're not, quote unquote, breaking the rules of a physical quorum. That's the caveat there. We're doing this extra bit because we're still limiting the amount of public that can enter into our facility. So it's more of a courtesy. And those boards that could use something like a selectman meeting room. And I just don't advise using that room, just anyone, it's so tight and cramped that even for a small board, I would opt for the lower level meeting space in town hall, in case anybody asks.
I don't mean to belabor the point, but I think we're assuming that people are watching this, and I feel like other boards, like we should not assume that other boards, committees, and like I don't watch the Board of Health meeting. Sometimes I do if it's something like really pressing for the entire town, I would watch it, but
This is not my only means of communication on that point.
I guess my
just
question
like
is,
to set
how
a
do we
platform.
get word out to the people who actually have these meetings that here's the rules?
Phone conversations, like sewer commission, I spoke with them, conservation starting to meet here. Historical commission, I reached out with her.
Do we not have, I guess my question is, do we not have like an email list with every chairperson or someone on every committee that we communicate with regularly?
Would be put together, very
Like how would you, okay, I'm just gonna give an example. And, because it's important that everyone abides by the rules. How would you communicate with the cultural council who may need to have a meeting that these are the rules?
I couldn't even tell you who's on there right now,
That's,
but
see, that,
that's,
and this is my issue. Okay, perfect.
I do.
Is there a way you can send them like a bulleted list of?
An email.
Yeah, I don't mean it doesn't have to be anything formal, but I think they just need to know if you're a committee of 3 and can fit in the selectmen's meeting room, you need to have a Zoom going for public input. Like I wouldn't know that honestly, like if I was a selectman and you were keeping me updated
I mean,
on
I also,
CMC
this
guidelines.
literally just happened on July 6th. Like, I haven't been sitting on this information,
Mhm.
reporting it to myself. Like, this change in occupancy rules literally just happened. So it would be normal for us to send it out this week.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we do it like by what the, when things go back to non-appointment. I don't want to use the word normal, obviously, but services resume.
This is all phase 3? Which
Phase
happened
3,
Monday?
like step A of phase 3 or whatever they're calling it, yes.
So I have a question on the calculations. Is at the bottom it says 8 people per 1,000. This particular room here is 1628, so wouldn't that be 15 people allowed to be in here, not 13?
I didn't do the math, Todd Tony did the math.
It's-
I disagree with the public health getting involved with limiting occupancy based on square footage. My opinion is if the chief and I agree on an occupancy of a room and they want to pull a percentage of that occupancy, then I think that's the more effective means. Why DPH came out and actually gave a constant number per square foot is beyond me, because they're delving into building and fire calculations, which they shouldn't have done. I know we can't debate that here, we can roll with it.
There's a lot I'd like to
Yeah.
debate with them.
But, simply put, when it was 25% of the number, that's easy. You look at the number on the wall, you pick 25%, simple math.
Yeah.
They could have just increased it to 40 or 50% and still met that criteria. Doing this,
It also doesn't
Unfortunate
accommodate
way.
for furnishings. It doesn't accommodate for furnishings.
no, because my building code takes into account furnishings, egress pathways, all of that. The DPH doesn't have, they're not privy to any of that. So, I didn't debate this with Inspector Pilling, but I was not happy about it, so.
Yeah.
But it's not like we have choice either. This is what they told us.
Can we just make sure before we contact people and let them know, hey, you can have a meeting in this room like that, then we just get the right number, just to make
This
sure.
is the
that
right
the numbers-
number because this is what they told us. We can say we disagree. We have been saying we disagree this whole time, but that's the order. 8 people per 1,000 square feet with no max over 25.
Yeah,
So
but
we
But he's
take
saying the
this-
math isn't
the
right.
math isn't right, so if it's 1628 for this room here, it should be 15 people should be allowed in this room, not 13.
So can I ask you, because I computed it a certain way and Todd told me I was wrong. Can you break down what it,
Yeah, I think
I'd
it's-
like PennDAS it for me? Like I
No,
know
no,
it's
no,
silly,
It's
but
125 square feet per person. So
I
8 into 1,000, that's 125 square feet, so if you get 1628,
1628 divided by 120.
if 500 is 4,
13.02.
if it's 8 people for 1,000, right? So another 500 would be 4 people, plus another about 28, 125 would be.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
did
I just
the
wondered,
1628
maybe-
divide, so that's why I think this is strange, because my math didn't come out either. So
And we're
originally it was
another
19,
two
so we
people.
lowered it. I will have to double check this, but, we'll talk about that, but we'll post the appropriate.
I didn't get anything close to your numbers, so I'm gonna trust you guys on this.
That's like come test is important, right?
I have a question about this. So we said opening up this room. Is there any way we can let people know they should try to go out to the website or go to the webmaster? So as cable, we look at that. We look at who's in those rooms. A lot of times they say, well, I try to go out the website, but it's not working, but I need the room. So since we got more people, we have less space. I think we might have a little bit of a challenge. Who's going to get in that room
You
first?
mean a scheduling conflict of meeting groups?
Well,
Is that
sometimes
what you
they,
mean?
they say they don't even go out to the website. They say they try going out or they can't do it, but they need to go in there right away. And
He just wants to make sure people, if they're going to be in these rooms on different days, that isn't posted to the meetings calendar, that it gets posted, because cable uses that as our way.
You use the meetings calendar.
On the
Yes.
website.
But
Yes.
so luckily, starting July 1, Leanne was supposed to start doing the network administration and meetings thing. So we'll get a system in place.
Yes. We'll make sure that you get those emails again that tell you when there's a meeting and where it's going to be and what time.
The
We'll
biggest
make sure we
problem
do
on that meetings calendar is things went in regularly, like
Yes.
we meet every
Recurring.
second Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
And then they
So
change their
it was not
schedule.
updated, so
Reoccurring,
you're
yeah.
gonna have like
Don't
random
go by
things
that.
still going, don't go by that right
I
now.
would
But
not
yeah,
go by
well,
that.
I've been telling boards, you need to speak with cable.
Mhm.
Like they need to talk to you, where they're meeting, when they're meeting, and if they're doing Zoom and all that.
So for right now, I would say the only accurate, so the town clerk keeps a calendar, like when you post a meeting, like she goes over and notes it so that there's not a double booking in that room at that time. And then her wall where she posts the meetings, that's what we use to send out that week's events. That's the most accurate thing. The website, boards, committees, commissions are not like, it's impossible to keep up with, so I don't think that's
so we get a weekly briefing and whether,
We're gonna resume those emails again, but
Okay.
I have to like sit and show the administrative assistant like how I do it, so it just is gonna take a little bit of time, that's
Of
all.
course.
Yeah.
All right.
But
That'll
we
work
will
for
get
us.
that up
It
and
is,
running again.
it's also.
I didn't realize you were dependent on it. I honestly did not even think anyone read those emails, honestly.
It is,
Being 100% honest.
it is the responsibility of the committee, if they want their meeting to be broadcast on cable, to contact you.
Correct.
It's their responsibility. So I don't want you to feel like you're missing anything or you're
Yeah.
dropping the ball or anything like that. It is the responsibility of the committee to reach out to cable.
And you can't record a meeting that you're unaware is even happening. I think that's like a completely reasonable expectation.
But generally speaking, say someone said, we want a meeting at the old town hall.
Uh-huh.
Will they have to check with somebody, make sure that room's open?
Yes, they have to
email,
post,
right?
you have to post the meeting
Correct.
location when you post your agenda, and so the town clerk's gonna say,
She's accountable.
Okay.
the stormwater committee's meeting.
That's
at
what we're
this
looking
time."
for.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
happened to me before where I thought I was gonna have a meeting at Old Town Hall and she said, this other group is meeting at this time, so.
It's why there's a calendar on the bulletin board
Yeah.
outside of her. It's not, being updated as much because people aren't meeting, but that's that focus. So you're supposed to go there and be like, oh, the planning board has my room when I need it, and you plan
They
accordingly.
need to check that, okay.
It's supposed to be a check for the board posting their meeting to make sure that meeting space is
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
appreciated.
We understand the difficulties when you only have really one meeting space that you're able to use
Yeah.
because of size requirements.
And-
It's challenging.
It's been a huge challenge.
Well,
It really has.
just so you know, I tried to reduce the amount of times I went to town hall, so that's why those emails stopped, because I didn't want to go if I didn't need to go, just to get a list of like what meetings. So that's why those emails stopped. So now's the time we can get them, now that we're reopening, we'll get them going again for you. I didn't
Thank you.
realize how much you needed them, so good to see, now I feel good. Okay, Madam Administrator?
So just for, I guess, looking on your feelings for that, but, for reopening to members of the public, like resuming how things used to be, but if, you know, we're just recommending it can be done.
Well, let's-
Start municipal built, services up again in like the normal fashion. I'm sorry to use that word, but the normal fashion.
I know, I was hesitant to use it too. Should we vote on this? Like, how does everyone feel about this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the town administrator to open, is it all town
I would
facilities?
say town buildings.
Open town buildings to the public effective July 13th, 2020.
Should library can't open.
Excluding the library and prime
And
time.
the council on aging as well. They should still be appointment only due to their vulnerable population.
Okay, so it'll be town buildings excluding the library and the prime time building.
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Thank you very much. So
Thank you.
this next one is a little bit more of an in-depth conversation about, we have some thoughts about spreading out that, what I lovingly call the pod, and also working it together with the expected town hall renovations that were just funded at town meeting. So that's why these members are here. And part of our plan, or our thought and recommendations, incorporate repurposing what is now the selectmen's meeting room into office space. And so you would, quote unquote, give up the selectmen's meeting room if you were amenable for this plan to go forward. So we wanted to gather your thoughts on it, see how you felt. If it's a hard no, we're going to go back to the drawing board, but if you're open to the conversation, we're going to talk about it.
So I do want to open it up for discussion, but I do want to be mindful, we've already been here an hour and a half, so I want to get everyone's hard feelings on this. So, or I'll start with like, whoever wants to start next.
So I'm not necessarily opposed to it, however, I feel that we need to have live cable here. I think
Correct.
the public needs to, wants to see our meetings live. We understand we won't be going back there for a little while anyway. You don't know, phase 2, phase 3, part 2 is going to incorporate. So I don't want to give that up. So, and I know, I guess it has to come before the town meeting.
Did you get my last email
Yes.
about it? So the cable group was nice enough to forward me what a quote would be to outfit this room with going live.
Sure.
It's a year old, so I'm saying like $20,000 is a conservative estimate, but that would require going back to town meeting, asking them for spending the enterprise funds, not tax dollars. That's their account. There's, from what I understand, there's enough money to cover it now, so I had told the cable that we should probably go forward in the fall asking for this money to outfit this meeting space with the live capabilities, so that if we were meeting, it would stream live to channel 9.
Okay, can I ask you a question, Cable? Is there any way, since we put some money into that technology in that room, that we could get any of that money back or repurpose that technology if it's going to be office space? We don't need like the cameras in there anymore, or we would not need the cameras in there anymore.
That would be a talk with our vendor. I know most of the cameras usually can just be unscrewed from the wall and brought to different places, but we did run all new wiring for all that new gear. So we're losing the wiring, obviously, but I'm pretty sure those cameras can be reused in another location.
Sir?
So I asked Mr. Pink that exact question, knowing that renovations were going to happen over there. And he did say that yes, the modules could be repurposed, even some of the hardware could be repurposed downstairs. So the wiring, you forego the wiring, it's too cheap to buy versus pulling it out. So the answer would be yes.
Okay, that makes me happy. Selectman what?
So, when do we expect to have the office situation at the town hall resolved, both floors?
So I know you want to consolidate and conserve time, but
The accountant and the whatever.
yeah, let me
Well, you
tell
have
you,
the floor.
let me tell you why
Why
this discussion started. I had a plan for that building. We all know it, we've talked about it. And then the pandemic happened. And I don't honestly think, and the committee doesn't think that it's going to go away anytime soon. I think this is going to be here and it's going to be long lasting. Now we've had to rethink of how do I set up these offices to allow for the spatial distancing and all of the new requirements that we've been taxed with. To do that, my plan doesn't work anymore. So I have to go back to the drawing board, and the only way to do that is to gain square footage.
Can I ask you which floor it doesn't work, or is it just both floors it doesn't work for?
The first floor, the ground level floor, has a little more space available, so that seems to work better than upstairs. Upstairs is the one I'm really having a hard time with, okay? I also found out that logistically, the accountant was going to move downstairs, and I'm finding out, after I've gone into the weeds and talked to people, that the accountant would really be best suited upstairs because of the logistics and how many people use that room and interact with the accountant. So that's why we started this discussion. Well, if the selectmen's room was available, there's the square footage that I need, come up with a floor plan that could work, both in the pandemic, post-pandemic, which I don't think we'll ever go back to the way we were, and still meet the logistical needs of town government. So that's why it's on the table. I obviously think this is a beautiful building. I think if the selectmen were to move into this building, I would want to do a nice, conference table or something up top there that we can be proud of.
Can we just move the old furniture? Like that big?
Initially, yeah, but I would like to maybe commission one of the schools to help us and do something maybe with the town seal on it. So just some thoughts that I had. So I actually think this would be a nice building that the selectmen could work out of permanently. And as you know, this seems to be the only place that we're going to meet in at least for the next several months. So it would make sense to spend a little effort and time in trying to get this to look more like a meeting space.
Can I ask you a question
Sure.
about how you see it? So we would still, like if I need to come in and sign stuff, I would still go to.
So the working office stays.
Okay.
But
This is for me, this is
meeting space
okay.
is here.
We're on the same page.
The only thing you would lose is I know that on occasion I see a selectman in the selectman chambers, people wanting some quiet time, looking over things. Obviously that would go away. However, in the discussion there was a small conference area that would be off of the repurposed space. So there would be a space which would hit on the transient traffic that we talked about. Some of the boards and committees that don't have offices, they could use that space. It could be used by a selectman if they wanted some quiet time, shut the door. So, obviously I would come back to you with a floor plan and show you it first, but unless you're willing to give up your space at Town Hall, it's not going to go anywhere.
I mean, I'll give my opinion. I don't ever go in there. I'm hardly even in the office. I come in just to sign things most of the time when no one's in there, so I don't feel like I'm giving up much, so I'm okay with that.
The reason I asked you about what we thought were the future plans before pre-virus plans, in order for me to respond to this makes perfect sense to me, to do something with that space, because most of the time it's vacant. The only time I go in there is when I need a table to spread out. And what you're describing, sort of like what you've got downstairs, and it wouldn't even have to be walled off. A table area, because we've talked about this with Mrs. Brady, a table where you could just spread out some stuff, like when I'm trying to put everything together, and I got all these piles of things that have got to come together into this project. And when, even when Mr. Ferry and I have, on rare occasions, met with property owners, we spread out the plans, but you can do that on any table anyway, and we don't need chairs for that matter. So I think taking the existing selectmen's meeting room in the town hall and repurposing it into useful space, I don't see we have other alternatives. And not only that, if the time ever comes that somehow people can be moved around into existing space and that can be freed up, we're not going to make major changes that it can never be done again. But we got to deal with the immediate problem, which is space, so I would support it.
Actually, if I can just add this, actually from a construction perspective, there would only be modifications to 2 offices if this were to go forward. The way I envision it would be the selectmen's meeting room and the clerk's area.
Mhm.
There would be some major reconstruction in the hallway to make an accessible counter, things of that nature. But the actual offices actually reduces some of the work that we were gonna have to do by doing this, so.
Does this, oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Like, was it-
No, you go.
So, that's what I was thinking, since the accountant won't be going downstairs, you don't have to do too many changes downstairs. So the department can stay where it is, and ZBA and planning can stay where it is.
Right, exactly, and because the monies were reduced, I already switched gears and was going to work upstairs first, because that's where the biggest need is. So that'll give us time to see how it works, and then we can deal with downstairs. We do have a space, a storage space issue that we have to address. So I know that,
It's a working cable.
yeah, and we need some work with cables, so there is stuff downstairs that needs to get done, but I think we should focus on the upstairs right now, and if you're willing to do that, that would be,
I think we
it would
have
be
no
really
choice.
helpful.
I think we have no choice. I think for me personally, like we're in a like a situation where I would be nice to have some desk space, right? We'd love to have a desk, but like people's safety is more important than like me being able to come in and have like a nice quiet desk. Like I can be at home if I need quiet. So I support it. I mean, I think it makes the most sense, honestly. And it's the least interruption because those people are already upstairs.
Right.
So,
And
Maybe if there's a bright side to this virus, maybe this virus arriving and preventing that work from being done is a blessing, because had all those offices been combined, we'd be having a discussion about now we've got people in these small offices too close together, and what are we gonna do with them? And we would have spent the money.
yeah.
So, as you said, you
Right.
changed your plans, you gotta draw a new floor plan.
Right.
And I agree, I think this is the route to go.
The other thing too is, if there's no meeting scheduled here, you're more than welcome to come into your space.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
We're just coming here.
Exactly.
Or downstairs.
Do you have anything else?
Downstairs.
I do think that we have to have some space here so that Karen doesn't have to bring over like the nameplates and all that kind of stuff, file cabinet or something that we can keep here. The other thing is, I would make this conditional. I would want the ADA coordinator to look at, to prove everything before it actually starts the work.
Right.
I've talked about this before,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much you've been in contact with the ADA coordinator, but I think it's important that the commission as well as the ADA coordinator is aware of what's going on
Right.
before the construction.
Right, well, this is all in discussion. I mean, even before with the plan, once it went to permitting, then we would bring them in and have the talks to see, is this compliant, is it not compliant? And, but since we switched gears, we're starting from zero again. So yeah, of course that.
I would want them to sign off, you know,
Yeah,
if we're using this up here, we need to have a ramp probably over here.
right.
Anyone else? But I think the consensus, do we need to vote on this? Is that what you were looking for?
I think we should.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Chairman. I would make a motion that we authorize the town administrator working with the building commissioner and other appropriate town officials to repurpose the Selectmen's meeting room in Town Hall into office space to deal with the space requirements under the governor's emergency orders.
I think the motion will include the ADA coordinator.
Well, that's why I said other town officials, because I don't know who else, he's gonna need other
I
people.
think he's saying he wants the name, like he wants the name.
Oh, so, Karen, in that motion, when I say, a town administrator, building commissioner, ADA, commissioner, and other officials, other town officials as needed. So that way, anybody they need, they can bring into the loop.
I'll second the motion.
Under discussion, I assume at a future meeting, you'll come back with like, you had done like there was a drawing and we'll see
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
But I think, like I said, conceptually, I think everyone supports it, it makes the most sense, and it's almost like the least intrusive. What what I will be interested to see is, like how it impacts, because we only have like half of the old project funded, like the original idea that we had.
Right.
So I'll be interested to see, like, to your point, Selectman Pacheco, like, okay, we have less to do downstairs, but now we have more upstairs. How does that all But like I said, we have to go back for more anyway, so it is what it is. But I'm excited about this.
I want everyone to know, and this was discussed with the town clerk and the treasurer, because of the logistical problems, unfortunately the pod is going to be last, because I have to create space for others to move them to now separate the pod.
Mhm.
But they were understanding, and I said, it's just the way it works. I have to create floor space for you, and to do that, I have to get these other offices done first. So I just want to be fully aware of that.
Well, thank you for discussing that directly with them. I think that goes a long way.
Chief, I included you and other town officials, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Well, I figured you might be the electrician and plumber or whoever, so.
I just want to make another comment.
Yeah.
And I could be the fault of this. A week after I got my first election, we got rid of our desk and went down to one desk.
It is.
And now we're losing a 40-year selectmen's meeting room.
It's called progress.
Well, now you know what you're gaining this.
Yeah, no, I'm in favor of it. As long as we get live cable, I'm in favor.
Yeah, I agree. That would be needed. That should have happened. That should happen anyway, but I understand that people doesn't want to put everything on one our warrant article. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. I do want to ask one thing. All of the, I don't know how that meeting room will change, like I will leave that up to you, but anything in there, we could just, you know, I know you would anyway, but we'll save the pictures and all the memorabilia and
well,
the things on the wall.
The flag has got to be moved over,
Yeah.
the town's flag.
Whatever.
Oh, no, we have that here.
We will catalog what's there, and whatever the selectmen so choose to have displayed here will be displayed. If it's displayed elsewhere, that's up to
We
you.
got a big wall down there, we could put that on, but the insignia for the Board of Selectmen is the town flag, so we could just switch them around, put a big banner wall in there.
We voted. Did we just vote?
Now,
No, I think it was me saying something in the discussion. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
do all of the offices that are going to be involved, when I say offices, I should say department heads, sorry, they all understand that you're going to be making changes?
Well, we haven't talked to all of them, no.
Okay.
We've talked to the ones that would be
Most impacted.
Directly impacted.
right. Yeah, the other ones we will talk to, yes, we will.
Those are going to town officials too.
Right.
So under old business, we have the third reading and a vote to adopt the workplace violence policy. Before we vote, did anything change?
Nothing changed, and just for the record, I reached out to the policy review board twice by email and writing, telling them exactly what the changes were made. This goes for both of these policies, and nothing was, they didn't respond. So I'm taking that as they're okay with it.
I feel like they would, if there was a strong objection,
And
like we would
I would
hear.
have heard.
We should hear.
They would have said something, and nothing has changed since that first reading. The first reading, we made some changes here on our floor.
That was my question.
Thank you.
If there are no questions, I will entertain motions.
I'll make a motion that we approve, we adopt the workplace violence policy.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. The third reading and vote to adopt the code of conduct policy. Madam Administrator, same questions. Did anything change on this one?
Not since the first reading where we made that minor
Yeah.
change about illegal and illegal, or legal and illegal, for that latest line. Again, sent to the policy review board for nothing back. It was not a substantive change anyway.
Okay.
Are we going forward?
All right. I will entertain motions.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the code of conduct policy.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've listed elected officials here. How do you intend to enforce this policy should one of an elected official violate it?
They would be asked to leave the premises. You, the board of selectmen, control the buildings, and if they're not bound, if they're not operating under these codes of conduct, they would be asked to leave. I mean, I don't foresee that happening, but yes, they would be asked to leave.
Do you have any further questions? Okay, hearing no further questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Just a very short comment. Those are the last two major employment policies, so I'm going to go forward with getting, actually, Karen and Leanne and myself are going to go forward, getting an accurate estimate of what a bound copy would cost, and then I'm not going to spend anything over right back here to make sure it's approved, but this would be that final product that we've been working towards.
What's the
Well,
policy
it's a
that
living document.
we've read once, but it's handy?
Telecommuting. I had a bunch of changes.
I
on
need
that,
them to
so-
get back to me to get together because we made some changes. I got your specific edits, and so I still need to meet with them, but that's the last one.
That's so funny. We
Just-
both had that one.
Just interesting, at the MMA meeting today, the woman who chairs our committee is from Wilbraham, and she has been fighting to get a social media policy and a computer usage policy, and I said to her, we got them.
Well,
I said, we can
email
forward those
them.
to you. She says, because I'm still trying to pursue it.
If you give me her
I
contact
will.
information, I'll send it on.
Yeah, yeah.
It can seem
You
daunting.
name the policy, we probably got it.
That's right.
It can seem daunting at first because there is that. I remember that article we read about just like First Amendment rights and some people feeling like we can say what we want, and so starting that discussion I think can be delicate for
Right,
sure.
and the other thing I said to her, if you're looking for policies, just any policy you can think of, go to your Mass Amherst website, because it's a, number one, approved policy, it's a public institution, so it's gonna fly in the state, and you can always fine tune it to meet the requirements, but I will give you her information.
Perfect. Thank you.
Helping out other towns.
Yeah, absolutely. Collaboration. Next on the agenda is the approval of the business guide. Madam Administrator, we did have some edits. Were we able to make the edits to like a final? I don't like using the word final because it will change anyway.
I did actually not receive the written comments from Stormwater, so I can go to you. I don't know.
The ones I had in my hand,
That night, right, I didn't ever receive those.
did I give those to you, Karen?
Gave me a couple of documents that I gave to you.
Right. I look at my stuff at home because I know I photoed them.
No,
And
I saw that. I
them.
know you have them. I saw them.
Yeah, 'cause I read some of them.
But I know we didn't make the changes, so my suggestion, I guess, will be to approve it, but approve it with Selectmen Goulette's edits on her page. There was like 2 pages of edits that I saw. And you raised some of the things that needed to be corrected. I think she's
Right,
probably.
the size, the lot
right.
size,
Yeah.
and the statement about waiving things, I said we can't waive anything, but, yeah.
So we'll get those. So my suggestion is to not to delay this, but to approve it with the edits that I think Mrs. Brady probably has. Hopefully. Someone has them.
I only caution you doing that, not because it's not anything to do with what this is, but making a motion on something that technically hasn't been received by the board. I know that you don't want to delay it, but I think we should wait to just have them edited in there so that you're approving the document as Stormwater has kind of given the way to work.
We're talking 2 weeks.
Did we get anything else from,
Mr. Rosa, no.
no, I haven't read through the whole thing, but I kept thinking, if he had given us a clue about, well, the policy for this, or the department for that, you could zero in on
I
it.
didn't get any feedback from our meeting. I didn't get any public feedback, no email on anything from when it had last come to the board and taken under advice or accepted for review.
Okay, so that's its status right now, accepted for review.
Right. And I haven't received any change or request.
Okay. We've got a stormwater meeting, Thursday. And I will mention that the health agent has reviewed it, but I just want to make sure the committee knows this is what we came up with, And we need to get this to the TA so she can put this, you know. I don't think the committee will have more revisions, but I just want the 4 that were involved to know what's in it.
Okay, so this is gonna go on the agenda for next time. Okay, so everyone's gonna get their edits in and we're gonna have a final document. Is that my understanding?
That's mine.
Okay, great, fabulous. Next on the agenda, ratify and sign the town administrator contract for FY 21 to 23.
I'll make a motion that we sign the town administrator's contract for fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2023.
Friendly amendment, ratify and sign.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes. Review, act on police chief's recommendation to decommission a police cruiser. We received a piece of correspondence. Just a second. Received a letter from the police chief. And he said, he's asking for permission from the Board of Selectmen to take the following cruiser out of commission. Cruiser 9, a 2006 Ford Crown Victoria Gold unmarked. He lists the VIN number. The cruiser listed is no longer reliable and no longer fits the needs of the department due to the age, mileage, and projected repair costs. Proper disposal will be at the discretion of the board. Respectfully, Chief Robert McDonald. So I will entertain motions pursuant to the decommissioning request of the police cruiser.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant Chief McDonald's request to decommission Cruiser 9 as described in this memo.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Gee, if we'd have known about this, maybe we... The fire chief is shaking his head.
I didn't know. I would want that car. Just being honest. Did we vote? We didn't vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes. And now we have a series of budget transfer requests. Most of them are in our packet. We do have a couple here. And so the first one is from the treasurer, and I will entertain motions pursuant to the series of budget transfer requests.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the transfer from the accounting department in the amount of $2,187.29 from account 010505155 into the town treasurer's account, benefits vacation sick buyback, account 010505155.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes.
You just want to keep going?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
I move that we're a roll. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the transfer from the accounting department in the amount of $1,325.73 from account 010505155 into the library account, benefits vacation sick buyback 010610505.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the transfer request from the accounting department in the amount of $2,025.89 from account 010-135-505155 into the Board of Assessors account 010-141-505155 benefits vacation sick buyback.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? And the ayes have that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the transfer from the building and liability insurance account, the amount of $23,000, account 010-193-705740, in the amount of $9,200, and liability insurance 010-945-705741, the amount of $13,800, into the public buildings account, $23,000 in total, to building repairs and maintenance account 010-192-705250.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
And Mr. Chairman, I move that we transfer from the ambulance $19,500, account 010-231-505131, in the amount of $4,000. Benefits OT medical training. Account 010-231-505151, $4,500, fire rescue equipment. Account 010-231-705850, $10,000, into the fire department, total amount $19,500. Overtime, additional hours, account 010-220-505132, $14,500, and building repairs and maintenance, 010-220-705250, in the amount of $5,000 as requested.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. So I believe we have two more.
We got two more. I'll make a
The ones
motion.
on paper now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we transfer from the Treasurer's Department $44,750 health benefits to account number 010-0914-000007-5174, and the total amount of $44,750 to the Board of Health, $44,750 into the rubbish collection account 010-433-0000-7-5291, and transfer $37,750 in the recycling collection to account number 010-433-0000-70-5292, and $5,100 in CMAS acceptance fees into account number 010-433-0000-70-5294, in the amount of $1,900 transfer.
Second.
So the only thing is, the way that motion was, it made it sound like we were transferring 44,750 plus 37,000, and so should we?
It's a total amount of
Correct.
44,000.
And then it delineates which account.
Exactly.
Can we just get
So
that
that's
motion in
amended.
motion?
Mrs. Brady, just friendly amendment, which totals $44,750.
Yes.
It does get confusing. We
It does, no,
Well,
it does.
because of how
And
I
there's
feel
so
like
many lines.
I wish
It's
there was
confusing.
like a bolded thing
Yes,
that said
yes.
divided up through and
Yes.
that way.
This line is too close to the other ones
Yes,
where you
that's
do the
exactly.
breakdown, that's what the
We
problem
ran
is.
out of lines.
So do I have to second that?
No, yeah, you have a motion in
You
a
never really-
Second.
You're good. We have a motion and a second on this transfer. Any further discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Last one.
We make a motion that we transfer $15,000 from the Communications Department salary operators part-time into account number 010-0-0-215-000-50-5106. That's a total amount transfer of $15,000 to the Board of Health in the amount of $15,000 into recycling collection account 010-433-0000-70-5292, a total of $15,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I did want to say one thing, and I'm not trying to be that selectman, but I would I guess I'm asking this of the Board of Health, like these should have been in our packet, meaning this should have been taken care of well before the meeting, correct?
So I'm confused because they were in mine.
They're not in mine.
I scanned yours again today, so that you.
That's, so she had it all along.
Okay.
Okay. So I just want these here on time so they can be incorporated. And the specific reason I want that is so people who access the packet can see all this information in one place. That's all. It's a little nitpicky, but we know we have our meeting schedule published. We all know when the meetings are. We all know when the packet goes out. We all know when the agenda goes out. So I don't want our administrative assistant or our executive assistant to have to run around for these things and make copies last minute. So I just want everyone, it's not just the Board of Health, all departments to please get in your documents early enough to be included in the packet for the meeting. That's all. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda this evening is to approve the education incentive for Alex Green. And I did want to ask a question about this, Madam Administrator, before we actually discuss this. And I
Chief, you go.
What?
Sorry, I said figures I told
Right?
you.
No. I don't think it needs to be answered by the chief.
Well, since he left.
Now let's
consider that.
We had previously, based on this person's grades, approved, or the tuition reimbursement gets like approved, right? Because he's
Yes.
successfully, okay. Why do we have to do the education incentive
The
separate?
education incentive, so they're two different
Uh-huh.
items.
I get that.
Education incentive changes his pay. So it's recognizing that his pay rate will change going forward
Correct.
because he achieved that credit hours. And that contract, there's, when you receive your associate's, bachelor's, master's, whatever, but
Yeah.
there's also provisions for credit hours. He is receiving, every time he takes a class, he's going to submit for tuition reimbursement, but not every time will we be asking for this incentive.
Okay. That's a good way to explain it. Yep.
I'm sorry, I kind of got
No.
backwards, but-
Nope. I like the backwards. The long
But
one.
he reached his credit hours, that
Gotcha.
bumps him into the next classification.
Okay, perfect. And so I did just want to read, I'm sorry, the going up and down with this electronic is a little hard. So we did get a question, a letter from the chief, and it said, he's letting us know that as of June 30th, 2020, Alex Green has reached 43 credits at Bristol Community College, where he's pursuing his associate's degree in fire science. Go Alex. In accordance with the collective bargaining agreement, Article 26, Section 3, Alex is entitled to compensation for 42 credits at $250 per year. I'm requesting your approval that Alex be compensated according to the collective bargaining agreement. And so, pursuant to this, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I suppose it's not approval, but to your point that he is eligible for this, but for you it's not. So I'm sorry, that's why this is there.
I guess that was my question is like if it's in the CBA, why does this have to come back to us? But I guess I understand why, so I'm okay with that. And we have done this, at least since I've been here, we've done this way.
They did it
We just
last
did this.
meeting, yeah.
Exactly. Any further questions, comments?
No.
Okay, I will entertain motions.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request relative to Alex Green achieving 43 credits and his eligibility for $250 additional compensation based on the CBA.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. Actually, I did just want to add, Alex is 83% done. So that is fabulous. Good to see. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? And the ayes have that. That motion passes. Review and act on Mr. Michael Thibodeau's request to become a constable. And Mr. Thibodeau did send us a letter dated June 24th, and he said, this letter to the Dayton Board of Selectmen is to apply to become a constable in the town of Dayton, Mass, in Bristol County, Mass. I've been a resident of Dayton for over 50 years, and I've worked in Dayton for over 35 years, so also a business owner. I'll be moving on to the next phase of my life. I'm very excited at the prospect of serving as a constable in the town of Dayton, Mass. Thank you for your consideration. So I will entertain a motion.
Is there any point that is needed to be constable?
We do have quite a few.
We do?
Just so you
Yeah,
are
we
aware, there's quite
made
a
a
bit.
conscious decision maybe a year ago or 2 years ago to not have that many. Yeah, so I'm happy to do whatever the board's pleasure is on this.
I'm concerned that he's only lived in town 50 years.
He may not be familiar with it.
So I'm going to make a motion that Michael Roy can be appointed as constable for the town of Dayton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I guess under discussion. He alluded to moving on. I hope you are not. I hope you stay, operating Zeke's. That's my only thing under. We appreciate that, Mrs. Thibodeau. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Should we formally take a position that we're going to put a moratorium on this so
I
that,
think that you should. Yes, we have like 10 now. Actually, we might make 11. There were a lot. But some folks don't come back and get sworn in. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
So you'll
So
do
we
your
do-
appointments and then they don't come in. So I would just go forward with maybe a moratorium and then keep tabs on who is responding and responding.
Can I ask
to-
what you
if we set a limit,
So you mean a cap by
yes,
moratorium?
in other words, we
Okay.
set a limit on it based on, this is the last one for this year, so whoever we reappointed, Mrs. Brady, you could tell us how many people, and this is the last ones. So if we've got 10 that we reappointed, this is number 11. So if we cap it at 11,
Mhm.
and then wait and see who doesn't come back or doesn't take their oath. If they don't take their oath, it's a vacancy. So we can fill the vacancy within the cap.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I'm okay with that.
Well, I'm saying that
And we
even
kind of
11
already
is a
agreed to
lot.
something.
I would scale this down to like 5 at most, but I don't want to kick anybody out if they're actively doing it. So that's what I'm saying, like if you have people that are just not coming in to take their oath, don't fill that vacancy, just chop down and take it to
We
5.
put this on a future agenda. Aren't you supposed to take your oath of office within so many days of appointment? I know she chases people.
But maybe that's too
Well, when I say a future agenda, whenever, if we can check with the town clerk,
Mhm.
what is the time limit for taking your oath of office once you're appointed?
Mhm.
At that point in time, we'll know how many people have taken the oath. We can set a cap, and
And then we'll know.
exactly,
Yeah.
and if the others come in late or don't show up at all, or of the 5 or 6 or 7 that we have, some of those don't do it next year.
But that's fine.
I think it's the best way to set the cap.
Yeah, I think that that's fine. Okay. So we will await that information. Next is to appoint, and I was honestly shocked to see this. I feel like she's been our health agent for tobacco since I've been
Well,
here.
she actually retired, but this must be a new position.
Oh.
She used to go out in the field with the students, remember?
Yeah, and I remember when we were the Board of Health, like
Exactly.
I had to
She used to come
interact
to
with her
our
about.
meetings and tell us
Correct.
about violations.
Correct. And then she was helping with the policy manual. Okay. So I will entertain motions pursuant to appointing Marilyn Edge as a health agent for tobacco control enforcement.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need to make this effective July 1st? Like, does that matter?
It's effective, if you don't specify it's effective today.
It's a state funded position, so my guess is it probably is the state budget in July 1.
Okay.
But I think if we
And you're right,
appoint
it
her-
is state, and she
Yeah.
does get paid. Okay, I think that's fine. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. The next item is something I requested to be on there, and I apologize. It's a discussion of a change to the Board of Selectmen meeting calendar for October. I am going to be in New Orleans for the week of the 26th ending, I guess, October 31st or the November 1st. And we had an October 28th meeting. So I would like to, if possible, move that meeting to the 21st, if possible.
So if we don't change it, then are you still going?
Well, Selectman Goulart will be the chairperson of that meeting.
You know, if we look at,
They were only participating.
if we look at,
From Berkeley to New Orleans.
twice a year, we have like an extra week, okay?
Mhm.
So if you look at, August is the 12th and the 26th. So September would be the 9th and the 23rd.
Yeah.
Although, no, we made that change, I don't know if it matters now, but Mr. Pacheco was
Yes.
heading out,
So did you change it to the
pre-pandemic.
16th?
Yes.
We did, yes, I remember that now. Yep.
So if we do October 7 and 21, that takes care of the 28th.
Yeah, I don't, however I was just thinking we already had it on the 14th, so we would just move the 28th to the 21st. I don't really have a preference on how we want to do that.
That's actually probably, I'm sorry. I was
Yeah,
gonna
no,
say helpful.
I tend to agree with what Mrs. Willis said, because we're going to have a special town meeting at some point, so we want to have maybe space of 2 weeks so that we can, anything else that comes up.
Okay, so September, we're looking at September 2nd and 16th?
No,
No, October 2nd.
No, I want to follow these all
Oh,
the way
I'm sorry,
through.
it goes
Let's go
9
back.
and 16, so it's September 9th and September 16th.
Yeah.
You could have a filler meeting on the 30th if you'd like, and then do 14.
Okay.
don't we have the 9th and the 23rd of September now?
No, I thought you wanted to change.
We changed the 23rd.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what did we
Yes.
change?
No, we changed it before, because I was going to be away on the 23rd, but
Yes.
I'm not going away because of
Great, but
COVID-19.
we have not changed
I
that.
thought we did though.
Not going back, we changed it going back.
I thought my
I
account,
think we never changed it, and then it wasn't needed. So I think it's
So-
still the 20.
Is it the 9th and 23rd we meet in September?
Let me check.
that was my understanding, but
The original schedule when approved was issued the 9th and the 23rd. Mr. Pacheco was gonna go away, so he requested that we set
Right.
it on
9th
the
and
16th, which is
16th
fine.
on the schedule.
I'm not aware that we ever revisited it, because I guess I just assumed you were gonna keep.
So we talked about the 16th, but you're saying now you don't need,
I don't need the 23rd.
all right,
I
so,
swear we talked, because when did we approve the new schedule?
Before the pandemic.
Was
We
it
were-
before the pandemic?
Yes.
It was.
Then maybe-
We usually do it in December
Yeah.
or January.
It was like February or
I thought
something.
it was 6 months at a time.
okay.
Okay, so currently we have the 14th and the 28th. So do we want to do September 30th, October 14th and October 21st?
Well, if you keep it 2 weeks apart, if we're September 9 and 23, and go with September 7 and 21,
It's listed on our schedule, September 9th and September 16th.
Yes.
We must have had a conversation before we even issued this, and we put it on there, because my personal calendar says meeting per Ken, so I wouldn't forget it. So we can change that back if you'd like, so that you don't have so many weeks.
yeah.
Okay, so here's, I feel like we're listening.
So this will be a 2-week break, this will give us our 2-week
We
thing.
can do the 9th and the 23rd of September, and then the 7th
And
and
the
the
21st.
21st, and we'll still have a week in between, and I think that that's fine. Are you
So
okay?
Well, you know, when you look at carrying this even further, if you go with 7 and 21 in October, and go with 4 and 18 in November, then we're not bumping into Thanksgiving.
I don't think we need to go that far. Like, I feel like the schedule's fine.
Well, that would just keep us on the 2-week schedule, is what I'm saying.
I think it's only October that's the issue.
That's fine, and you're gonna have a special meeting anyway, because
Yeah.
we'll be getting ready for time.
Well, I'm okay changing September to the 23rd then.
Yep.
I thought we already changed it.
So we should change
So
that.
I'll make a
and then-
motion that we change our calendar
Mhm.
from September 16th to the 23rd,
Mhm.
and in October, from October 28th to October 21st. So maybe just,
And October 14th to October 7th.
yes.
Yep.
I agree with what Mrs. Willis was saying.
Mhm.
That's my motion.
Okay, so I'll second it, just to reiterate, September 9 and 23
Yep.
is the motion, and October 7 and 21.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I second that.
And then if we need that on meeting, of course, we always can. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
We just
Mhm.
suggest that if you go in there at that time,
Mhm.
if Ann Rice is still having a tour. I know I did 23 years ago, Ann Rice tour.
Really?
No way.
Okay. All right. It's my first time, so.
Yeah, so keep the vampires and stuff.
I'll bring you back some stuff.
Cafe du Monde.
Some beads. Some beads.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not Mardi Gras. It's us. It's Halloween. We might have some. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes. And as I close my agenda, the next thing is the Selectmen's report. Selectman Goulart?
One thing I heard today, which was very disappointing, the MMA annual meeting and trade show is going to be virtual. So that means I don't think we're going to have a trade show.
We're looking to get all of our pens.
How are we getting the tchotchkes?
When Ariella mentioned a virtual, because obviously they booked the Heinz a year in advance.
Yeah.
And when everything happened, they don't want to get stuck paying for that and everything else. So that was the latest. I don't know if there's any way that could possibly change, but that's what they were saying. It was
It would be in
virtual.
the peak of the season again.
I will be going.
It's,
How are we gonna have our like?
And it's like
postage for the
indoors
year?
though, but it's like indoors.
also when they
They do.
when they stopped the Combis thing at Foxborough Stadium, that was a great event. And they paid that way back. It was, you know. So the things we talked about today, we talked about the solid waste master plan the comment period has been extended through September the 15th. Our committee is looking at that with a focus on environmental justice, communities, climate change. They're looking for new comments. They've got tons of comments, but they did extend it, and they're looking, I think, in light of things that have been happening, both on the national scene and with the pandemic, they're looking for some additional input. The board, I should say, the committee that I'm on, voted to send a letter to Jeff Beckwith, the executive director, asking him to take our position in support of Senate Bill 464, an act relative to environmental justice and toxics reduction in the Commonwealth. This actually was reported favorably out of committee, and it's been languishing in Senate Ways and Means. And again, with all of the social and other turmoil that's going on, our committee feels, it's time to get this thing moving, that this act needs to be advanced with the support of the board. And initially, the committee wanted to go right to the board, and I said, we got to be diplomatic. You don't bypass the executive director. It's got to go to him, and Jeff should take it to the board. So that's basically what the letter said, which I edited and accepted. The NASPERD wanted us to get on board to reinstate the plastic bag bans. They're saying that there's all this scientific evidence that those plastic bags don't prevent the virus from being spread, and that the bags we carry in ourselves are a better solution. And somebody said that plastic bag ban, as part of the governor's executive order, had been lifted. I went through the whole thing for phase 3. I saw no reference to those plastic bags being removed. As far as I can see, they're still in effect in the supermarkets. You still can't take your bags in.
Right, that's my understanding.
And so it's plastic bags and paper bags. But there are some environmental groups that don't want paper bags either because you're cutting down trees. Well, I was in Maine for a few days last week, and I've got bags that say 100% recycled paper. So those weren't cutting down another crop of trees. But anyhow, we said that we need to look more into this. I'm very hesitant about jumping on bandwagons and MMA supporting. This is wave the flag. This is a great opportunity. No, I got to know more. What else is there? Because some of these things, it's like some of the legislation. I propose something, it goes around and around, everybody adds something, by the time it comes back, it's like...
It's a completely different... What document is this?
And there's all kinds of things money-wise added that don't relate to what the original idea was, so...
2009 stimulus.
Perfect
example of that.
So we're planning a meeting in 2 weeks because we had so much to cover. And we didn't have any guest speakers, we just worked through all of the different things that they have. The cities of Somerville and Cambridge have passed resolutions to divest from the use of fossil fuels. I'm waiting for the information on that because I want to see how that's going to be done. And then the last thing, excuse me, we talked about was the people that live in the area around the Mystic plant, which the plants we used to have were called the Filthy Five. The last one to be closed was Breaking Point. Well, this fossil fuel plant has a similar acronym. It's not part of the Filthy Five, but it's on the Dirty Dozen. But what we found out was there was a group that wanted us to sign on to pressure them to close this plant. It is scheduled to close the 24th, 2024. And National Grid and Eversource have worked out a plan that as that plant goes down, gets decommissioned, they will have sufficient energy to meet the needs of what it used to generate. So I don't see any sense in trying to pressure them to do it sooner if the utility companies are saying, we got a plan to provide sufficient power. Well, it seems to me it's going to take time to do that. So that was another one that was left, we didn't take action on, but we really were into environmental things today. And the other thing I will mention, when I said that at the last meeting that Dayton had gotten an electric vehicle, since that time, Lexington has gotten two.
Oh, nice.
They've gotten the model, I think it's a Toyota, or a Nissan Leaf, L-E-A-F.
Oh, yeah.
I know our chief looked at those and he decided to go with the Chevy.
Oh, good, yeah.
And Wilbraham.
A Volt? Oh, nice.
Not a Volt, I think it's a Bolt, like a big.
No, I think it's Volt. Chevy Volt.
One of those is being decommissioned,
That's
they're not
awesome.
making it anymore.
Uh-huh.
But anyhow, so Lexington got two electric vehicles, and Wilbraham, who's looking for policies, actually acquired two hybrid police cruisers.
Cool.
That are the Fords that over a year ago I showed a picture to our chief and said, hey, here's the new police cruisers. Oh, no. And what the chairman from Wilbraham said was, if you want to convince the police that these hybrid vehicles work, just have them drive one. And the amount of savings that they expect to have, because the car will not be running on gasoline all the time, it'll be electric. And then we get into a discussion of charging stations. And one of the things we're going to discuss at the next meeting is Eversource, not National Grid, but Eversource charges based on peak hours, and National Grid charges based on total kilowatt hours. And with this peak demand thing, if you're in an area that does that, you're paying a lot more for the charging of your vehicle. So anyhow, there's a group that wants us to get on the bandwagon for that, but we're gathering information. So it was all sorts of really environmental stuff. So that's where we were today.
Well, thank you. Just to comment on the police cruisers, those are sort of new, and I think I also reached out to either Sergeant Cronin or Chief McDonald about them. I don't want us to be like sort of the guinea pigs on those police cruisers. So I'm okay with like not pushing. If the technology is that new, there's going to be some things that need to be worked out, and I don't want the Dayton Police Department to be the ones that have to figure those out. You know what I mean? Hybrid is different than all electric.
Right,
so
right. But the good thing is, even with the hybrids, now
they're still saving.
Wilbraham has got two. They got them off the bid list, and she says they are Fords. And there was a discussion about how much you save with the Ford hybrid over the Charger. I said, well, the Charger uses high test to begin with. So you can't even compare that cost to a regular, cruiser that uses with 87 octane. But anyhow, we'll get information on how they're doing and what the acquisition cost is too.
Yeah. So you have a contact over there?
She's the chairman of our committee.
Her.
She's the lady that's going to get our policies.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, and we will help with those
We will help
policies.
with policies, and
We will policy.
this is why we help our neighbors.
Well, thank you very much, Selectman Goulart. That's perfect. That's really good news. So we don't have any correspondence. We don't have any acknowledgements. But we do have some minutes. So I will entertain motions pursuant to accepting for review the minutes of the Board of Selectmen's special town meeting of June 15th, 2020, and the Selectmen's regular meeting of June 24th, 2020.
Okay, so we'll
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So we did not get June 24th minutes yet, so
It's a
we'll
due
get
date,
those.
it's about 30 pages, so,
Third.
I have it.
Oh, that's
Maybe
almost
it's
one.
This is a 4 or 5 hour meeting.
All
Cable's like, we're not surprised.
All those
It's 30
in
pages. Okay.
We're used to it.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes. And I will entertain motions regarding approval of the minutes of the Board of Selectmen's regular meeting on June 10th.
I just want to make a comment that tonight I received the changes that Mrs. Goulart made, so I want to review the minutes.
Okay. What,
before I- so I
do we
can
want to
refer
just,
to the
we'll
board.
wait, we'll put this on the next, okay, that's fine with me. Is that okay?
Yep.
Alrighty.
So we just did the 15th, right?
And then 20.
And the 24th, and we're not gonna act on
All
the
right.
10th.
Okay.
Approval of warrants. Selectman Goulart?
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrants dated July 1st, the following warrants be approved. I'm looking at all these numbers. Warrant 53A-20, the amount of $108,277.05. 53B-20 in the amount of $65,588.75. First one being payroll. 53C-20 in the amount of $3,609.95. Last two being accounts payable be approved.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrant 1B-21 in the amount of $143,561.40 accounts payable be approved.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes. Mrs. Brady, did we receive, or Madam Administrator, did we receive anything via Zoom or email or telephone? Where does the phone ring?
It comes to my email.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I'm not through.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
just
sorry.
gonna say, I'm
I'm
waiting for
sorry.
a big one because it's the retirement
My apologies.
contribution.
Well, they always
Trying to
run,
save the town some money here.
they all run in order, but obviously, there was one dated July 1st, that's a FY21. That's the one I just read. So now, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve warrants dated July the 8th as follows. 54A-20 in the amount of $50,492.91 payroll. 54B-20 in the amount of $85,205.67 accounts payable. And 54C-20 in the amount of $1,150.69 accounts payable be approved.
Second.
Can we go back to ignoring those?
No, those are FY20s.
Yes. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on these? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes.
All right, the next three are dated July the 8th, and these are FY21 warrants. Warrant 2A-21 in the amount of $52,761.04 payroll. 2B-21 in the amount of $1,300,721.09 accounts payable. That's the, is that the Bristol County?
Big one.
Biggie.
Right.
And account 2C-21 in the amount of $3,341 accounts payable be approved.
And we pay that early because we get a discount essentially if we pay in July versus splitting it up over the year. That's what we're making that.
I'll second that motion. I'm concerned about the 9 cents, but
So $500,000? I'm just kidding. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it and that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I have one announcement.
Sure.
And I've announced this before, but I think it's important. I had announced before that the Pan Mass Jimmy Fun Bike Ride will not occur the first Saturday in August. So all of you that have supported this very important drive for research money, if you can, support your team this year. The teams are doing their best to do makeup routes on their own. And obviously they're trying to raise money because without money, there's no research. And this would have been our 41st year. So anyone who can help out with PMC Jimmy Fund, you can go on your website, PMC Jimmy Fund, to get the address. You can donate online, by credit card, or get in touch with the team that you usually support. And support them this year, because I know my team is riding somewhere, but it's just so important, and obviously everyone's lives been touched by cancer. And all of the money, every penny goes to research. So, and I know you worked in that area years ago. So if you can do anything for PNC Jimmy Fund, please do it this year.
And I'm sure, and I know you know more about this than me, but I'm sure the receivers of the money, the institutions that do the research, that get the money for this, are somewhat reliant on it. So not having this event this year could potentially be financially impactful to the research that helps a lot of people.
And I would just mention that at Patriots Place, where the MGH Brigham and Women's building is, they have now built a building to the left of that, and it's connected by an enclosed bridge, Dana-Farber. So that brings treatment closer to our area. So that's, I mean, I'm sure that's, you know, a blessing to a lot of people. Instead of going into the
my
city.
grandfather's life when he had cancer, so yeah, thank you for that reminder. And if you want to add that to the announcements going forward, I'm okay with that.
Okay. You know, so many people in Dayton have, year after year, and our employees too, have been out there on the road, waving them on, encouraging them, and you know, they have the buddies, the kids that are being sponsored, and Dayton has always been a great supporter, donating time and everything else, so I'm sure Dayton will help out.
Thank you, Selectmen.
It's just one more thing, like, we're not going to have it this year, you know?
I know.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Under public input, did we receive any Zoom email calls? No emails?
One final check.
Okay, just a second.
They did not.
All right. I will entertain motions to adjourn.
So,
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Cable, we're actually out before 9. I know you don't believe it right now. It's actually before 9 p.m. The time, 9 p.m. at night.
The time.
Crazy.